All right, we are live. Maor, aka the Wolf, what is going on?
What's up? What's up, Jason? I mean, it's been a ride. We talked about a second before we went live. We talked about the book, and I was like thinking about just the industry and the journey that we're in. And we talked about 2019. We talked about today, and I feel like time flies. The week starts, the week ends, goes by so fast. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, when you hit me up about your release book, Unleash Your Inner Wolf, I was definitely interested in giving it a read. We originally met, I believe it was in Bucharest, Romania, at the, no, sorry, it was actually a traffic summit in Istanbul.
Traffic, yeah, in
Yeah.
Istanbul.
See, you lose, yeah, Istanbul, right? Wasn't it
Is that the
Istanbul?
first time? No, definitely. I was there definitely, but I was like, I think we met prior, didn't we? I don't know. Maybe we didn't. I don't know.
It's funny how when you're traveling the world talking about digital marketing, affiliate marketing at conferences, you just lose track of cities and lose track of time.
Yeah, you get to meet so many interesting people in this industry. I feel like, and I think I talk about it in the book, and if not, then I need to add it to my next one. How interesting the type of people that are in this industry in terms of like I always imagine taking someone who is used to, I don't know, CES or maybe even a medical conference, and having them come into this industry where everyone's like has one kind or another of like a substance abuse issue or something like that. I mean it in a funny good way, but yeah, I mean it's not a normal business meetup or conference. Everyone has some sort of like interesting idea, um, and I mean it in a genius way. Everyone's very interesting.
It's I've done tons of different conferences from dental conferences. I've been to landscape
Why would you go to a
conferences.
dental conference?
They're definitely not as fun, for sure. They're definitely not as fun as an affiliate marketing conference, which I've been attending probably for the last 10 or so years. And I know exactly what you mean. It's a different type of person, but also a different type of occupation occupied by that person, right?
Yeah, I think it's a combination between the fact that the industry is fairly new, it's still developing, it's still kind of like positioning itself, combined with the fact that we have an average um, age that's younger than any other industry probably, and lots of younger people are getting in every year, and also big money. I wouldn't say easy money, but it's faster money and it's bigger money than most industries. So I think that combination is potentially a dangerous one. That's also something that I'm talking about in my book, and I witnessed throughout my journey as a digital marketer, as an entrepreneur. I've seen people really rise and fall, but in a sense where not everyone mentally is ready and prepared for success, especially not a fast or big one, financial success or any sort of like you take someone who is used to working 9 to 5, making a decent salary, and you don't even change his salary, you just put him on an airplane visiting places. One second he's in Turkey, the other one is in Vegas, then he goes to Dubai, and just the fact that the person opens their mind to different kinds of cultures, and they feel like they're traveling the world for work. That changes something in a person, and I feel like not everyone is ready for that. And I know some affiliates, and I always feel like the agency owners, brand owners, and I don't know how to position each one right now, but the saying uh, goes that affiliate marketers are the best marketers in the world because they are very focused on direct response. They're very fast. They have to be dynamic and stuff like that. And I feel like I know a lot of people in the marketing space where they got a taste of really big, fast money. The adrenaline that goes with it is a very toxic combination that I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that the body can actually handle it, because it's a combination between taking a very large dose of drugs, where you get like a large injection of dopamine, and then you get the gambling rush. You know, Andrew, not Andrew, sorry, my one of the copywriters that I work with always says that it's like a gambling mentality, where when you're like an affiliate and you catch a wave and the campaign goes, and you like, you refresh the systems, and you
Dopamine hit.
so it's like a combination between drugs and gambling and something like that, but it's just like a very large dose of it. So what I say to people who get into the industry and they get a taste of that, it's kind of like a lose-lose situation, where you're either very sad that you're not making money, or you're scared that the money that you're making is gonna stop. You're scared that something is gonna happen, a regulation change, a policy change, something is gonna go down. So it's a very hard spot. You lose a lot of sleep, and it's very hard.
Think about it like, it's like you hit on a great point. It's young money, and people, probably young people with not a whole ton of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Before they're having kids and starting families and getting married, and they're coming across this money. And to them, it probably seems like a very easy way to make money in terms of the way they do it. They're not landscaping. They're not out, doing grunt work, construction. They're actually sitting there at the computer coming up with concepts that are generating conversions,
Definitely. And the thing that accelerates it in a bad way is that fake it till you make it mentality that's going on now. It's called the fuck, I forgot what it's called. The era of
by Lopez.
No, era of basically just like, everyone's a guru. Everyone who hasn't even made any sort of investment in their life, he's like 16, he has like a YouTube channel with like 2 million people telling people how to invest. Everyone's like trying to sell something. So the combination that is what you said, combined with that era that we're in, the guru era, is very deadly, in a sense where someone who's like an agency owner. I actually personally know people who snuck into Geek Out or like a conference like that. They didn't even have the money. They didn't even knew the basic concepts or metrics like CPC, CPA. And 6 months after, they went on Affiliate World on main stage, and talked about how to get like an agency up. And I was like, how? Like, how is this even possible, that this person is teaching now what he has still not really established? But so this is a part of the fakeness that is all around us now. And I think that just like everything with this industry, it's accelerated, and you need to know who you want to work with, who you want to partner with, and who you want to learn from, so that's a big thing as well.
So how do you differentiate the charlatans from the ones who are actually real and the actual people that will help you?
Well, that's a very good question. So I think that there is a bunch of stuff. The first thing that you should know is that the information is free. It's out there. You do not need to pay for the big courses, the big, I don't know, masterminds or meetups and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that you have to know. If you are really into learning, it's out there. Go into the media buyer forums, the Facebook groups. If you're not going to do that, then don't invest any money, because you don't have the patience, you don't have the nerves really to get into anything like that. So that's the first part to it. The second part is balancing everything into kind of like normalizing what's out there. Meaning, some people would say that those who can teach, those who can do teach. So that's one approach. And the other approach is everyone's a fake guru and everyone's a scammer and everyone's trying to push me some stuff, where reality is somewhere, in between. Not all courses are amazing, not all courses are garbage, not all people are scammers, and not all people are authentic and genuine and real. So um, the first thing that you need to understand is what makes a fake guru, which I think the biggest two red flags would be someone who usually over promises and under delivers. So you get to see responses, you get to see feedbacks. So you need to do lots of due diligence. You need someone who is going or went down the same path that you're going, because you don't want to learn from someone who's done a different path or journey. The second thing is that you want to see that this person actually backs up in terms of the product that he's actually selling, the course, mastermind, or something, is not his main thing. That's not his main revenue channel. You want to make sure that this person is actually doing the agency game, and he is also enjoying, or it's an ego trip for him or whatever. So he's teaching as well. You want to make sure that this person is not doing it for the money. For example, going outside of the industry, just for example, my therapist, she once told me that she raised the prices for everyone. That's not in the book, but so she told me she raised the prices by, I don't know, like 20-25%. So I was like, I heard her, and she didn't ask me for more money, but the next time I paid her at the end of the month, I paid her 25% more. So the next time we met, she was like, you paid me a weird amount of money. What was that? And I was like, you told me. I listened in between the lines, and I figured that if I want to keep my spot here, I need to pay you 25% more. And she was like, no, we had a deal, we had an agreement. I'm not going to take more money from you. So you want to kind of like test the environment. You want to make sure that this person is keeping some sort of like an integrity line. Another story that I can share, for example, is a coach I had, someone who was like coaching me mentally, and we went on like a weekly call, and I took a break from him like after a few months, and then he started messaging me. He wanted to be my friend, which I thought was extremely weird. It's kind of like the stories where you meet someone who married their therapist, or it's those stories happen. But for me, that shows a big integrity issue, because if the person that consults you has an interest, for example, you'll take me into auditing your Google account, and I'm going to tell you, oh, you know what, I have this great guy that creates UGC content, and I'm going to refer you to him, and I have a great media buyer, and I refer you to him, then I'm not objective. I have an interest in telling you that your account is not good. So the whole auditing part falls apart. It's not authentic. So you want to test the authenticity and how genuine the guy that you're going to learn from,
How important is it to establish a solid personal brand to complement what you're talking about here, especially when we're alluding to maybe referral business and things like that? Is it imperative for especially an agency owner or a business owner or entrepreneur to establish that personal brand?
Yes, but I think that if you're just starting out in this industry, I would do certain things before. I think that building a personal brand guarantees or helps a lot with the continuation of the business. You want to make sure that you create a solid stream of leads coming in, whatever you're selling. If you're doing a B2B business, a B2C business, if you want, so that's going to help with that. The other part to it would be the fact that you get better deals. Usually you negotiate better. You start off as someone who people don't play around with. They already know who you are and stuff like that. So you get a higher position in the negotiation part to it. So I think that's extremely important. um, I think that working on certain things like the skill set that you have is a bigger part. So I mean, remember when you've been going to conferences for quite some time. So just remember that they used to say that having you need a bigger set of tools in order to succeed in the online marketing business, especially as an affiliate, but also as an entrepreneur. So I feel like we've actually reached a point where if you don't have that skill set, then you can't function as an entrepreneur, especially in the digital marketing world. They said that it's going to happen, and I feel like we have already passed that point. Um, so if you actually try and get an affiliate offer nowadays, or even a big client for your agency, without having the networking skills or without having the deal making negotiation skill set, you're just not going to make it. So I feel like investing in that field is big as well. So I don't know what you need to start with. I think it's very specific and personal to that specific person. Some people um, just are better in building their brand, which is awesome. But I always like to compare it to improving or modifying a car. Lots of people would put a big, strong engine, lots of horsepower. They have very good suspension, but they forget about the brakes.
Mm.
Then, it falls apart. You have to keep, and that's what I think that's great about being 20, almost 25 now. I think that the biggest thing I learned in the past 24 months is that life has a very perfect balance. Some people that I know that are very bad with money, they're very good with people. Every time you turn on an air conditioning unit, it generates the same level of heat as the same level of cold that you have inside your house. So
Mm.
life has a perfect balance. When you use drugs or alcohol, you get a high, the next day you get a down. So life has that balance, and I think that you haven't asked about it, but that kind of like brings me into the two big rules that I have inside the book when it comes to the mindset of an affiliate or just like a digital marketing entrepreneur, that I think that after going on hundreds of consultations, this is what I concentrated everything into. If someone really implements what I'm going to say into their lives, I think that they're going to limit the amount of suffering that they have throughout business ventures and the entrepreneurship journey at large. Um, and I also think that it's going to limit the amount of bad situations, or just like I really think that this is the biggest thing that causes affiliates or agency owners or brand owners to break up. And I can tell you, I met some people that spoke with me at 2019 that went bankrupt, and now they're on their way to a 50-60 million dollar exits. And this is it. So the first rule would be, and I'm going to say both rules, and the first time I'm going to say it, it's probably going to sound very, I don't know if you read the book till that point or not. Maybe it's going to be new and maybe not, but the first time I'm going to say it it's going to sound complete gibberish. And the second time I'm going to explain what I mean. So because for me it took a while going to therapy and learning about that. So the first one is that I found out that 1 + 1 + 1 equals 20. What I mean by that is that an affiliate or someone would come to me and we would go on a call, and they would tell me, listen, I tried running some campaigns. I tried Giddy Up. I tried A4D. I tried DF4. I'm trying all of these affiliate networks, and I went on these forums and I paid $100 on STM, and I paid AdLeaks $100, and I'm listening to all the podcasts, and I'm going to all the conferences, and somehow I'm losing money. I'm doing e-com. I'm doing lead gen. These guys haven't paid me I had partners that stole money from me, stuff like that. And what people do not realize is the fact that when they combine this situation, this event, this scenario, they are putting a lot more weight than each individual one. And that's the biggest thing. When you combine these things, and I think this goes in life as well, when you say things aren't working out in my romantic life, things aren't working out with my parents, with my brother, with my son, doesn't matter. People don't call me back. No one wants me to work for them. You just want to make sure that you do not repeat the same negative story to yourself and other people, because it really trains your brain into thinking about it more, and it creates a fixation, and it's just a bad spot to be in. Your brain cannot think of any solution outside of that would help you, get out of that situation. So when you add things together in one just like situation, this is just going to be much heavier than each one separately. The second one, do you want to talk about that one, or?
Yeah, so the 1+1+1. I think, yeah, I think that's and did you learn that? You come up with that yourself, or is that something you came up to?
Yes, I got very, very deeply depressed a few times in my life, and that brought me into really digging into that. Really, I think that anyone who has been an affiliate in a large magnitude that has like a big business, and I gotta tell you, these things, just the last few months, my business 5x, and I'm not just saying that my business was big, but it's doing 5x the amount of revenue that I used to do. And people do not understand. It's just like I said, the car analogy is so much in place. People do not understand how much mindset, and even I would say spiritual stuff, has to do. And I'm not a spiritual person by any sense. I'm not religious. I'm not really nothing. But this has so much weight, so much. You have no idea. The brain functions amazing. Wherein I think Tony Robbins calls it a happy state, a perfect state, something like that. When you get into that spot, you are able to attract so much more business, deflect so much bad business, or people who want to scam you, or bad situations from your life. You have no idea. So like the one part to it would be cleaning out the bad people in your life. Could be family, it could be partners, it could be friends, it could be just bad business people. And the other part to it is what I said. But yeah, go on. I cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I was going to say that, I think one of the important aspects to that and mindset is partnering with the right people. We've been in certain situations with certain business partners where it hasn't worked out. Not to say they're bad people, they just weren't a really good fit. And that derives from the simple fact that, do their tendencies and behaviors and personality complement you, or are they too similar to you? Right? Because in my case there, my business partner is a tech nerd SEO guy. He's not a guy that wants to be going on stages and hosting conferences and speaking. That's me. And I'm totally fine with that because I hate doing the stuff he does. You know what I mean? So that works out for a really good partnership. Now, it took me a few bad partnerships to figure out the right one, but I think that's key because that just helps alleviate so much of the stress on your brain when you know somebody there.
And also, people change. You're not the same person that you were 5 years ago, and you're not the same person that you're going to be 5 years ago, because people change, and that's completely okay. And people without money and a business without money, people act differently when the business has money and the person has money. And if you talk about big money, then you add greed to it, and people act differently when they're more greedy. So I think that what you talked about is the technical aspect where you complement your partner and your partner complements you. What I'm talking about is more of like a spiritual thing, where it's not even a spiritual thing, it's a psychological thing. But because what happens is usually it's kind of like wishful thinking, but not really. Like when you wake up in the morning angry, what usually happens is, for most people, is that they would match reality to their inner feeling. They would attract the same feeling. So if you're angry, you're gonna fight with someone just to match and prove to yourself that your inner feelings are true. So what I'm saying, that usually if you're in a bad spot, you're gonna attract bad people, not good partners to begin with, So it's being with the right people, with the right mindset and stuff like that. And you see that with people. Like, I met a bunch of people, for example, at Geek Out. One point in their life, they were one type of person, and after a breakup and a divorce and stuff like that, you see how a person handles their campaigns. I see that it's completely different. And I want to move on to if it's okay, to the second
go to
rule.
the second one.
I think that's the bigger one. That it took me so much time to implement, but this was a game changer is an understatement. So I came up with the mental response to really connect everything that I learned when I went down that rabbit hole and when I got depressed. So I understood something that really made sense and connected everything. It was that when I rationalize a situation, I legitimize a situation, and then I get fixated on a situation, and I lose the motivation that I have or should have to move or fix that situation. Okay, so I know that at first it might sound very weird, but I wanna explain. So I talked about rationalizing something, legitimizing something, getting fixated, and losing motivation. So what happens is that I understood that our brain has basically two functions. It can add information and it can duplicate information. It cannot delete information unless you're very sick. So the memory is unlimited, of course, so you cannot remove, you can only duplicate or add information. So when you tell your brain a story, just like that person says to me, this offer didn't work, affiliate network, this person stole money from me, blah, 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 blah. And even the story, which is a good story, that you're telling yourself, what you just told me, that you compliment your partner does the geeky stuff, the techie stuff, and you like to be on stages, you're much more of like an outgoing guy that likes to talk to people. That's a story that you probably told to a bunch of people. I'm just one person. And what happens that what you did is going to the brain gym. You just trained your brain into believing in that story. And the brain doesn't really ask if you're lying or not, and it could be what you told me could be the biggest lie ever, but it doesn't really matter, because if you repeat it over and over, it's gonna act as if the story is real. And then what happens is that you create a barrier between the story, your interpretations in your head, and life. And sometimes it acts as a protective shield, usually it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But and this is, by the way, the same mechanism as if, like, when you want to buy a new car and you're saying, I want to buy, I don't know, a new brand new Mercedes, a black one, and you start seeing it more and more down the street. It's the same mechanism, because the brain is so focused on that specific story that it finds more of it. So
law of attraction.
Definitely. So when you're sad, when you're depressed, when something happens, good or bad, but this example is when something bad happens. What happens is four things. You start telling yourself and the outside world the story. Even if it's not true. Sometimes you add a bunch of stuff. Sometimes you kind of like spice it up, and it doesn't matter, because once you say that, you start justifying whatever's wrong with you or the world or anything, and then basically you rationalize the situation. So that's the first part. The second part is when you do that, and when you start telling that to people, you essentially breathe life into the situation and approve it. So it doesn't matter if half of it is a lie. If it's all a lie, then you basically legitimize it. Even if it's your pure interpretation of reality, it becomes real. You legitimize it. And as soon as that situation is legitimized, you create a fixation on it. You start telling it to your mother, to your brother, to people down the street, I don't know what, and you basically get fixated on that. So you go to the brain gym and you start telling your brain again and again the same story. Um, and what happens is when you get into that comfort zone, because you become very good at debating that story, because people would give you certain rejections, they would ask you questions about that, and you would know at a certain point what to answer to them. So that interpretation of life or lies became completely authentic and real. And basically you're more focused on basically answering people or protecting that story than pushing yourself out of it. Okay, so then you get into the comfort zone and you lose the motivation to get out of it. And that's what happens in life, but that is what happens with lots of affiliates. They would go on a consultation, they would pay money. Sometimes it's therapy, sometimes it's people like me. And it's so funny to me that a person that on one hand wants help and spends their time and money, which is two of the biggest resources that they have, on trying to convince me on why they're okay with what they've done, and how the fact that they're not making money or lost a bunch of money is okay or a better situation for them than making money and trying to succeed. So
Yeah, that same concept can be so much applied to sales and marketing, right?
yeah.
Like for like a strong salesperson is probably very good at conceptualizing exactly what you just talked about, right?
Mhm.
Just a personal experience is like I used to be in bands and played music, and I was a front man of a band. That
Oh, you
evolved.
did? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Wow.
That evolved to speaking on stages about marketing. And from
Mhm.
speaking on stages on marketing, I'm now a professor at a local college, but to make that jump, I had to tell myself a certain story in order to get there and have the confidence to get there. And it's so relevant, but it's also relevant and transcends to salespeople as well as marketing people.
So if you want to go to even a higher level and mastering that, this is actually how you manipulate that into your own benefit, basically. So if you understand that this mechanism is just like a primitive way that the brain is thinking, you really know how to push yourself. So, for example, if we really talk about a different example, um, I'm using fear to my own benefit. Why and how? I understand that there are a few ways of overcoming fear, and one of the biggest things that I found that's working for me would be understanding that fear exists for certain things and aspects of my life. But if I create a bigger fear, then I just like push myself. So I basically use fear to my own benefit. So for example, I was afraid of going on stages, and I told myself, you know what, if you don't go on stages, you might end up
Mm.
in a few years with zero income. And that is much more scary to me than going on stage at Affiliate World Dubai, which I think there were, I don't know, 7,000 people. It was like an out of body experience for someone who doesn't enjoy, which is funny because I've been to quite a few stages, and at least I'd like to think that I look like I enjoy it, and now maybe I am, but for me it was a very hard, just like experience to
I
begin
think
with. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a brilliant way to overcome any sort of a fear, right? Is think about the reverse it, right? And turn it
definitely.
back
And
on
that's
you.
the thing that you can do here. That's what exactly what you did before you became a professor. You told yourself a story, you got fixated on that, and that's so funny because you know what? I'll tell you two stories. Okay, the first story is, I think it was 13 years ago. I didn't remember both stories. I remember people told me that they used to work with me at my last work. The last time I worked for someone, it was a small digital marketing agency that still exists, and they told me, there were a few months that all you said was, I want to become a millionaire. And people ask me, what do you want to eat for lunch? I want to become a millionaire. How are you? Good morning. I want to become a millionaire. And that's all I said. And I didn't remember that, which is funny because that's all I said. But that was a way of utilizing that same thing. I didn't know how the mechanism works back then. But and I'm not talking about some stuff from like The Secret, the book, the movie, The Secret, where you kind of like. I'm not talking about that mumbo jumbo. I was talking about I was so fixated on that, and I created opportunities because I was like, that's all I thought about. I wanted to generate more money. That was my night and day. That was what I was breathing. The second thing, which
you didn't have $1 million bill on your ceiling when you woke up in the morning? No,
no. But that was, I'm a verbal guy because so for me, verbally works, differently. But another crazy story. This is the first time I say it to, I think, anyone. I was just telling it to my mother. I don't know if you saw my YouTube video where I said I went on like, I think it was 50 dates or something. Did you saw that? Did you see it?
You presented on this. Didn't you have this in a presentation as well? Was this
Which one?
I thought this was the test that you did where you're testing.
No.
Different okay.
No. So it was a testing. So basically what happened 6, 7, 8 months ago, I told myself, okay, I'm not going to be single anymore. And I got really tired of the dating apps. So I was actually building a business plan on how I'm going to meet my future wife. So technical, such a technical approach to something that's supposed to be very emotional. But yeah, dating apps did not work for me. I was trying to figure out how to manipulate the algorithms, how dating apps work, and I came to the realization that dating apps are not for me. It works for the top 10% of people who look like you. It does not work for me. I'm a short guy. It's not going to work. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to build a list of options that I have. One of them was going on a reality show, TV show like Big Brother. And the other one was like a PR thing that I decided to do. So I went and I started doing PR stuff, non-paid. I wanted stuff that was non-paid. And then I finally approached the second largest news website and app in Israel. And they had like a weekly bachelor segment, blah, blah, blah. So I did like a professional photo shoot. I went to a copywriter here that writes for SNL, the equivalent of SNL in Israel. And I wrote a very good advertorial, basically. So it was very, very, precise to what I wanted. It was to be used as an advertorial. And I actually opened up a native ads campaign for it on Taboola. And the headline was super clickbaity. It was, I made my first million by not going on dates. And then I talked a bunch about myself, and it exploded. The algorithm recognized that as a very high CTR thing. It went on all of the RSS feeds. It exploded. Everyone that I knew approached me. Everyone. It was crazy. Like from my bank manager to people who were my neighbors when I was like 8 years old. Everyone saw, yeah. And Israel isn't that, it's like 9 million people. People saw it. Everyone did. Then I started going on lots of dates, blah, blah, blah. And I met someone whom I'm with for 6 months. And hopefully by the time this goes out, I would be after a proposal, hopefully. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you, the second, this is something that I already kind of like published. But the crazy thing is that when this article went out, I got lots of DMs. I'm talking about thousands. And some of them from grandmas that wanted to introduce me to the family and stuff. But one was very weird. She told me, I don't know, you look very, very familiar to me. I think I know you as a kid, and if it's you, I have a crazy story. I was like, okay. And she was like, did you ever do like a dental thing that aligns your teeth, blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yes. And she said, do you remember which doctor you went to? And I told her the name of the doctor. And she told me, you're not going to believe it. There was one time that I worked for that doctor. I was his assistant. And you came with your mother. I think you were like 12 or 11 or 13. and the doctor went outside the room, and you asked me how much time I'm how long have I been working at that place, and I told you, and you asked me why. And we went on a very short conversation for like 2 or 3 minutes, where you told me that you think that I should become an entrepreneur and that I should do my own thing. And she told me that thing. She went back to her house that day. I was like 12. It's crazy. I have no recollection of that. She went back to her house. She cried that day, and she opened up the business that she has today. She made lots of money, and it's crazy. It was like, and that really reassured my, I don't want to say purpose in life. Maybe it's my purpose. That's my purpose in life, and that's why the book is being sold for like $5, and that's why I have the YouTube thing. For me, it all makes sense when someone approaches me at a conference and they say, "Dude, you changed my business, or you helped me get from this point to this point, or you're my mentor," and stuff like that. That really is a very high level of self-achievement, and even a spiritual, level.
It's an example of where you can pinpoint where you actually made an impact and how that made you how that made
Yeah.
you feel, right?
Yeah.
And how powerful of an impact you can actually have on people, and how that can be scalable when you're on stages talking about stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I mean, and I know we're gonna be wrapping up here soon, Maor. I know you're busy. You got places to go, I'm sure. But in terms of the book, there's so many things I want to talk to you about today, which we weren't able to unpack. Specifically around the amount of noise that's out there right now, just on social media and in the news, and maybe you can give one takeaway from a lot of the concepts you talked about in the book. But how can somebody really separate themselves from all the noise out there?
I think it's about, and it connects to what we just talked about. I talked about the purpose in life, or the thing um, that is my goal. I think that the biggest thing that people need to understand is that most people out there are driving without really setting a GPS waypoint or an end goal. Once you have an end goal and you develop a internal system where you ask yourself a question with everyone that you talk to, whether it's a conference, whether it's on WhatsApp, on Facebook, is this partnership, potential partnership, is this affiliate offer, is this thing that I'm going to learn, a course that I'm going to take, moves me towards that goal, or is this potentially something that throws me out of the path that I'm trying to go into, or through? This is the biggest thing that, again, and this is like a gym that you need to practice on, because once you develop that internal self-check system that helps you, autopilot your way, kind of like a mirror system, that reflects whatever you're doing, and you keep asking yourself, this is right for me, or this gets me further away from where I want to go. I think that helps clear a bunch of noise that's out there. And the second thing would be understanding what's your unfair advantage. Whether your family is into a certain industry, maybe you're a very good salesperson, maybe you're very good with networking, maybe you're someone who needs to stay back home and code, while you need to get a partner like you that is more into meeting people and it's better at networking than you. So this is a part of clearing the noise that's out there. Yeah.
And in addition to that, when you meet somebody, don't ask them, "How are you?"
Or what do you do?
Or "What do you do?" Or saying, "What is it?" I love this. I love this part of the chapter there where you really break it down. Don't write, "How are you?" "How's it going?" Or "I'd love to chat with you over a beer or coffee." Don't say
That when I get these messages, I get crazy.
Well, it's
This is
noise.
like,
It just contributes to the noise, the amount of noise
it
that's going on.
contributes to the noise, and yeah, everyone wants to see it. It puts you in such a fucking spot. Like, it's like, dude, if you and me had to answer every person that sends us a message and wants to to have like a cocktail, a beer, or something with us, we'll be drunk as fuck, and we would have to go on 5 different surgeries to replace 6 different parts of our bodies in a year. And the bad part to it is that if you tell that person what I just told you, it's gonna sound like you're a very snobbish person that thinks they're better than everyone, which is not true. You want to answer, you want to be polite, you want to be nice to everyone, but in all honesty, just yeah.
And the solution is not saying how are you, but it is what is it? What is the solution to that? Short intro, offer value, define goal, specific call to action.
Yeah, I think that, and I offer a template in the book, just like an example. You need to make it your own, but yeah, if you want something, then you can be polite. You can ask someone how are they, but if that person is someone, first of all, I think that even someone who has lots of time would like other people to be respectful of their time. Everyone has like a self-importance thing, so that's a big thing. But you wanna make sure that that person is intrigued by your message. So yeah, definitely see how you can. Yeah, it's kind of like how asking for a paycheck, salary raise evolved. People say don't go to your boss and ask for more money. Go and say, oh, I want to do more in the company. That sounds a whole lot different.
Maor, what's the best way for our audience to get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Well, I'm on basically all of the social media sites, but so it's Maor BN, MAORBN. Also my WolfTube, which is my YouTube channel. It updates every once in a while when I have the time and just like, yeah, power to go on, like, yeah.
And don't forget to pick up Unleash Your Inner Wolf. Amazon. You want people to go to Amazon to get that?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Unleash Your Inner Wolf. Check it out. Good read. Thank you so much, Maor.
Thank you.